and welcome to My Tiny Bottles, the project where I explore my grandmother's legacy of miniature liquor bottles, one tiny bottle at a time. I'm your host, Tammy Coxon. Bottle number 10 is a bottle of Disaronno Amaretto Original from sometime between 1995 and 1997. The order of the words in the name turned out to matter a lot when I was trying to figure out when this bottle came from. These days, if you buy a bottle of Disaronno, it only mentions the word Amaretto on the back, which is kind of interesting given that this is the company that claims to have invented the whole category of Amaretto. Like most of these old European liqueurs, it comes complete with a mythological origin story involving both a beautiful woman and something religious. In this case, they claim the recipe goes back all the way to 1525, when an artist was commissioned to paint a church fresco in Disaronno, Italy. According to the story, his model for the Virgin Mary was a local innkeeper who gifted him a bottle of liqueur as thanks. In the 1600s, a member of the Reina family somehow rediscovered this old recipe and passed it down through the family for hundreds of years before Domenico Reina commercialized it in the early 1900s. Yeah, I'm not sure I believe that either. So what is it? Casually, we would describe it as an almond-flavored liqueur, but it's actually more complicated than that. The name Amaretto means little bitter, but it's not at all bitter. The bitter refers to bitter almonds, which, even more confusingly, are not necessarily almonds. In the case of Disaronno, the distinctive almond flavor we associate with Amaretto comes from apricot kernels. While Disaronno has existed since 1900, it wasn't particularly well known in Italy. Where it really takes off is in the US of A in the 1970s and 80s. It enters the cocktail scene with The Godfather in the early 70s, but in the late 70s it spawns the Amaretto Sour and then shows up in all kinds of dubious 1980s drinks with titillating names. Eventually, other companies start advertising and making their own Amaretto. Some of them even start copying Disaronno's bottle style. And this is why which words, and in what order they appeared in, turned out to matter so much when I was trying to date this bottle. Here's 1981. 3 words, each on their own line. 91. D and Disaronno are getting closer together, but it's still Amaretto first. 93. Still 2 words, but Disaronno now gets top billing. 95. Any implication of it coming from Disaronno is now gone. It's fully transformed into a brand name. 1999, they really want you to know that they are the original, accept no substitutes Amaretto because they add the word original in big letters under Disaronno, and Amaretto appears in smaller letters underneath. 2001, it's just Disaronno with even the original in small letters and nothing obvious to indicate that it's Amaretto. While I can see what they're going for here, I'm not sure how well it's really working for them. When I call for Amaretto in my online cocktail classes, lots of people buy other brands because they don't even realize that Disaronno is Amaretto. This is especially true among younger drinkers who, lucky for them, didn't come of age surrounded by mediocre Amaretto sours, which includes my upcoming special guest, Casey Miller. That's right, it's time for the first tasting video. Casey is not only my favorite bartender at my favorite bar, The Last Word in Ann Arbor, Michigan, but also a 2-time national finalist for the USBG World Class Bartending Competition sponsored by Diageo. When I asked him what bottle he'd like to talk about, he picked Amaretto. You'll have to check back in next week to find out why. If you've got an Amaretto story to share, leave a comment below and check out mytinybottles.com for more on this bottle and all the bottles. You can also follow My Tiny Bottles on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Cheers!